What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated, unified WBC, IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer Errol the True Spence Jr. responds to former unified WBC, WBA welterweight world champion, unified superstar boxer Keith One-Time Thurman. Keith One-Time Thurman, like I stated earlier in my earlier video regarding this situation, Keith Thurman called out Errol Spence, saying that Errol Spence needs to face him, stop ducking him, or move up out of the division, right? We all know, it's been documented that Errol Spence has been chasing down Keith Thurman for the better part of his career once he became established in the welterweight division, right? Keith Thurman had all types of different stipulations for Errol Spence, to get the opportunity to face Keith Thurman. He even went as far as to tell Errol Spence that he needed to capture a world title. Errol Spence went over to the UK, beat Kell Brook, official victory over Kell Brook, brought back the IBF world title back to the States. That Showtime Sean Porter lost to Kell Brook. And then Keith Thurman continued to dance circles around Errol Spence and avoid Errol Spence and state that that's a fight for him in the future because Errol Spence is his version of Manny Pacquiao, likening himself to Floyd Mayweather. With that said, now Keith Thurman is stating that Errol Spence, if he wants to be a legit, true champion, he's going to have to face him one way or another, or he's going to have to leave about the division, right? And most people find that laughable because Errol Spence was, like I said, chasing down Keith Thurman for the better part of his career once he became established. Errol Spence has now responded to Keith Thurman's quotes and Keith Thurman's statements, and he just did an epic. He just said, "My man, stop," with the laughing emojis, right? Sometimes, you can say 1,000 words in such little words. So that just says everything you need to know. Errol Spence tells Keith Thurman, basically, "My man, stop it, man," right? And with the laughing emojis, because he's not even taking Keith Thurman serious anymore. He stated in the interview he did with Brian Custer that he doesn't even like Keith Thurman. He said Keith Thurman is a fake. He says that he likes Terrence Crawford. He says, he's a real dude. He said, obviously, they just going to have to cross paths. They're in the same division. They on the collision course. He said that he likes Manny Pacquiao, he said that Terrence Crawford is a stand-up guy. Danny Garcia never gave him a reason to be not a stand-up guy. He said when it came to Sean Porter, I believe he said that he didn't have an issue with him. He didn't have nothing bad to say about him, but, he didn't have an issue with him, so on and so forth, right? So, but when he got to Keith Thurman, Errol Spence stated that, he don't like Keith Thurman. He said that he's not a stand-up guy. He's not true to who he is. And so he's not in favor of Keith Thurman's character outside of the sport of boxing, right? And you have to feel where Errol Spence is coming from because Errol Spence has been trying to get this fight with Keith Thurman. They was on the platform together in a couple of the big fights, and Errol Spence calls him out to his face, and he's like, don't worry, I knew this young lion was coming. I knew eventually he was gonna have to cross paths. Keith Thurman talk you in circles. He walks you around the block, right? When he's talking, right? He walks you around the block. So that's what Keith Thurman does. And he walked Errol Spence and everybody else that made mention of a fight, a possible unification bout, because this was unification at the time, as Errol Spence now was the IBF champ, and Keith Thurman was still holding on to the WBC and the WBA. He eventually relinquished the WBC because they was going to strip him due to inactivity. That's why you had Danny Garcia and Sean Porter fight for that vacant WBC title, which Errol Spence beat Sean Porter. Sean Porter beat Danny Garcia. Then he defended against Yordenis Ugas, and then he lost it to Errol Spence. That's how Errol Spence grabbed the belt, right? And now Keith Thurman has placed himself in the land of irrelevancy, right? And why he has done that is because he allowed, he was the man seen as the best welterweight in the division. That's why Errol Spence wanted that opportunity, right? That's why he wanted to face him. And he let it go, right? He came back. He fought Josito Lopez. He had these layoffs, these injuries. He fought Josito Lopez. He didn't look that great in that fight. Josito Lopez looked like he was on the verge of getting ready to stop Keith Thurman. Then Keith Thurman went on from there to face Manny Pacquiao, which he lost. Then he lost his WBA, so he was essentially stripped of the WBC, and then he lost to Manny Pacquiao and lost the WBA. Now, due to the inactivity and the loss, he's dropped to the bottom of the top of the upper echelon of the welterweight division, right? More relevant is Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Terrence Crawford, obviously, and Errol Spence, obviously. You understand? Yordenis Ugas has even picked up more steam as being more relevant and more significant in the welterweight division than Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is an afterthought at the point in time because he's out of sight, out of mind. It's not that he don't have the talent. It's not a knock against his talent or his skill set or his boxing ability. It just seems like he lost the hunger to compete in the sport of boxing. It looks like he started to get settled in, and he got married and things of that nature, and he's settling into life. And listen, kudos to Keith Thurman for doing so. He found himself, right? It seemed like he found himself, and his hunger doesn't seem to be there in the sport of boxing anymore. So with that said, not too many people are searching for Keith Thurman. When you make mention of all the big fights in the welterweight division, Keith Thurman is a name that is the last name on the list. A lot of people even forget about Keith Thurman when they talking about the big fights in the welterweight division. They make mention, obviously, Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford, Sean Porter versus Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence against Manny Pacquiao, Terrence Crawford against Manny Pacquiao. Some people want to see Sean Porter, how he'll fare against Manny Pacquiao. Obviously, Danny Garcia is still a major player in the division. Now you got these two young, hungry bulls coming up in Virgil Ortiz and Jerron Boots Ennis. They want to see how they fare with these guys. Then you still got guys like Yordenis Ugas and Mikey Garcia still hanging around and campaigning in the division. So Keith Thurman is the forgotten man. And Keith Thurman, like I stated earlier, needs to face one of these young, hungry bulls. Virgil Ortiz, Jerron Ennis, Yordenis Ugas, right? Make a name for himself again. Let the boxing world know he's still hungry. At this point in time, most people are perceiving Keith Thurman and his comments and his statements as just cash out fights, right? He's looking to cash out. So you're not taking him serious because he's never been taking Errol Spence this serious. He even went as far as to say that Errol Spence never truly wanted to fight him because he never even sent him a contract. When we know Keith Thurman, when Errol Spence made mention of fighting you, Keith Thurman stated that that's a future fight. He kept putting it off as that's a fight that needs to be built up. And then he lost his luster. He stripped of one of his belts, then he lost the other belt, right? So, like I said, Keith Thurman has done this to himself. He has nobody to blame but himself. He still has skill set. I still believe that he can compete with the upper echelon in the welterweight division. He already beat Sean Porter. He already beat Danny Garcia, right? So it's just that popularity and relevancy. Keith Thurman has dropped to the bottom because he's out of sight, out of mind. And the way he comes off now is as if he's just looking to cash out, not that he's actually looking to build on his legacy. That's the problem. So Errol Spence responds to Keith Thurman, and he says, he just laughs at Keith Thurman and said, "My man, stop. Point blank and period. Exclamation point. Bang. Stop already. Quit." The same thing Errol Spence did with Kell Brook when Kell Brook continued to make mention that he wanted his rematch. He just told him, "Stop mentioning my name." Point blank and period, right? See, all these guys wasn't doing this when Errol Spence was looking to become a champion, was looking to make a name for himself. Kell Brook was avoiding him as much as possible until he was absolutely forced to face Errol Spence for the mandatory spot for the IBF title. And Keith Thurman was dancing around Errol Spence and wouldn't even make mention of Errol Spence's name at times, right? Just kept putting it off. That's a future fight. That's my big fight. That's my Manny Pacquiao fight. Like I said, liking himself to Floyd Mayweather. So, and then he lost. He miscalculated his future. He had a lot of injuries, a lot of surgeries, So there's a lot that play into what happened with Keith Thurman, but yet and still, it happened, right? So let's see how this all plays out, man, because obviously Errol Spence laid out his 3-fight plan for his future. He wants this fight with Danny Garcia. Then he wants Manny Pacquiao. Then he wants Terrence Crawford. And I believe from there, he's looking to move to 154. So he even stated in his interview with Brian Custer, he stated that he has no interest, no want, nothing to do with Keith Thurman. Has no interest in him. He say he's on the back burner. the back of his mind, point blank and period. So I don't think this fight is ever going to happen, point blank and period. So, but let's see how everything plays out. Like I said, it seemed like everything is laying out for Errol Spence, seeing as though Manny Pacquiao now is going to more than likely go the route of fighting Mikey Garcia. It was different if I told you guys if Terrence Crawford and Manny Pacquiao would have fought, it would have forced Errol Spence to fight the winner of that fight after the Danny Garcia fight. But seeing as though Mikey Garcia and Manny Pacquiao could possibly be the next fight for Manny Pacquiao is going to be a huge favorite, in my opinion, to win that fight. And I believe he's going to win that fight in dramatic fashion. That gives him the opportunity to fight Errol Spence after that. So he'll successfully defend the WBA. Errol Spence is going to fight Danny Garcia, which I'm expecting him to win the fight against Danny Garcia. No disrespect to Danny Garcia. And then, paths are set. Everything seems to be on the right path for Errol Spence as he laid it out. But let's see how this all plays out, because the sport of boxing, we just never know. But that's all I got for y'all. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, or one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.